Hey there, guys. So I want to thank you for taking the time to check out today's live stream. So before I do get going with today's live stream, where we're going to be going over, in particular, the topic of creating a safe space in fitness, I do want to share a quick sort of note with you guys. So if you're not aware, I do have a website that is bponlinefitness.com. This is where you can check out all that I have to offer related to online fitness coaching. If you're interested in what I talk about today and you want to learn more, feel free to check this out. This has all the information on, not only what I have to offer, but also you can check out some free fitness information. I have a free fitness blog that I upload to each and every Friday. And then I also have videos that you can check out here as well. You can also see client testimonies here and just a ton of free and great valuable information here. You can also sign up to my email list here where you'll get a free email newsletter each and every Monday. And then you can see my, of course, Instagram feed here that I upload to pretty much daily. So definitely check that out if that's something that you're interested in. When you click the join the team button, again, this will show up the same even if you're on, say like mobile. So when you click this button here, it'll take you straight to my top form, which is where you can sort of schedule your consultation, in other words. So this is where you can do that. If you have any questions about anything, of course, that I share, for today, or any questions that you have related to online fitness coaching, just feel free to reach out. And you can, of course, leave a comment here, or again, check out any of my other social media platforms here, which I have Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Well, of course, we're on YouTube now, but you can use these if you want to contact me as well. So I just wanted to share that before we got started. So let me go ahead and get today's presentation up for you guys. So again, what we're going to be focusing on talking about is creating a safe space in fitness. So this, I will mention too that this QR code here on screen does take you to my top form as well. So when you do scan that, it will take you directly there. So what we're going to be talking about is really, again, this is sort of continuing to expand upon what we've been discussing the past few weeks here on YouTube, and that's about creating more of a belonging, in a fitness environment if you're somebody who really struggles with being, in a fitness space. And again, that's the reason why I wanted to, again, continue to expand upon this topic and really focus more on how we can approach this. So we're going to go over a few different points here today. So these are all of the points we're basically going to discuss today. And again, guys, if there's any questions that you have on anything I discuss here today, feel free to let me know. I think a lot of this will probably be self-explanatory, but definitely let me know. So we're going to go over setting the tone for your fitness journey, self-trust, and before external validation, detach your worth from performance, rewriting negative fitness narratives, consistency as a self support and not a punishment, and building emotional safety through routine. So, again, these are all of what we're going to be discussing here today. So, let's first go over your you alone setting the tone for your fitness journey. So your fitness journey does not need to start with a perfect plan. As I've discussed many times, your fitness journey is yours alone, and how you get to your goal is going to be unique. There was a discussion that I did yesterday, in my live stream on Facebook where I went over basically how muscle gain and how your progress in the gym doesn't happen the same. Your progress is going to be completely different, from somebody else's, especially when we're talking about, if we're trying to reach a muscle gain goal. It's not gonna, you're not gonna get there in the same way that somebody else is. but there's generally a sort of path that you take that, you know, kind of leads you to where you want to be. So generally after a few, after a few months, you're noticing that those visual changes. And that's kind of what I discussed yesterday is basically really seeing your journey as being unique to you in a way. But I focus primarily on muscle gain. So if you want to check that out, that is here on YouTube. I just uploaded it yesterday. Um, it was basically about why muscle gain is an instant. So definitely check that out. But that kind of connects a little bit to, the topic we're talking about today. However, we're more talking about our mindset, in today's stream. So your habits are what's going to create the identity. So it starts with your mindset, your standards, and your actions that you choose to repeat every single day. So each, habit that you build, each action you take every day is going to benefit you or hinder you at the same time. So you have to make sure that you're building healthy habits so that you can keep that consistency and that discipline going. So what you consistently do becomes who you become. So it's not what you intend to do, but what you are willing to do. So effort is going to set the standard. You don't need perfect workouts. You need honest effort that builds momentum. And that's what I've discussed time and time again is that it's more about, again, taking things step by step. You don't have to have everything figured out all together. So your environment too is going to reflect your decisions. So try to build an environment of encouragement. Build an environment, of people too. This is not only putting yourself in, a fitness environment itself, but having people around you that are going to encourage you alongside your journey. That's going to help you a ton as well. So, and this kind of relates to, when we talk about our nutrition at the same time. You want to make sure that you're mindful on what you include in your environment as far as your nutrition, creating a proper sort of recovery routine where you again, you created a sleep schedule like I've mentioned before. So shift your environment to where it's going to easily, align with the goals that you're trying to accomplish. So again, from your food choices to your training schedule itself, you're going to create the system you live in. You want to make sure that that system, especially related to fitness, that it becomes seamless, that it fits into your daily lifestyle. Energy is contagious, especially your own. The way you talk to yourself and show up matters more than any program. So, how you see yourself, how you perceive yourself, when you look at yourself in the mirror, how you, again, what you say to yourself makes an impact. And you have to talk positively about yourself as you're going through your journey. So, again, you are responsible for your pace, not your perfection. The fact that you're showing up, that you're being consistent, that you're being disciplined is going to make all the difference. So, again, progress comes from consistency and again, not rushing the process. So, you don't want to rush the process. You want to take things step by step and day by day. And that's really going to help you in the long run to stay on track. So, self trust before external validation. So the strongest fitness results are going to come from trusting your own process again and not trying to rely on approval, compliments, or constant reassurance for others. This is a big thing that I think a lot of people kind of get hung up on, where they always want to seek a validation from somebody else. They want to seek an approval, a compliment, or something from somebody else to show, that they're making progress. But you don't need to think about that all the time. Your main focus, again, should be on showing up without hesitation, in other words. So again, consistency is going to build that confidence. So the more that you're willing to show up, that is going to build more confidence than just trying to seek compliments from others. So again, this is focusing more on your own self, on trusting in yourself throughout the journey. So you earn belief in yourself by showing up even when no one is watching. So again, the main focus here is that what we do behind the scenes, and this is something I've mentioned before in some posts, but what we do behind the scenes is going to really impact who we become to everybody else around us, who we become on the outside. So your internal wins matter more than the external praise. So internally, think about the progress you're making overall, how far you've went in your journey. Just because somebody didn't compliment you or just because somebody didn't, fully recognize your progress doesn't mean that you're not progressing in your routine. So better formed, improved energy, stronger lifts, these are all the real progress markers when it comes to, again, knowing that you're making real progress overall. So again, don't seek validation from others. That's going to fade. Focus on finding trust in yourself. And again, this is a big thing that I've mentioned, over these past few live streams is that our success in anything that we want to accomplish, and this can not only be related to fitness, but it can be related in many other ways in our overall life, is that when we focus on trusting in ourselves more and believing in what we can accomplish, as cliche as that can sound at times, when we focus on that and when we start to realize that we can accomplish something, it does make a difference. That's one thing that I can say for a fact definitely made a difference in my journey. And I'm not just talking about fitness. So, whenever I started to build my business, one of the biggest struggles that I had is, of course, that feeling of knowing that I'm enough or knowing that I have the ability to build this, to create this. And that was one thing that I really had to get over if I wanted my business to be successful. I had to get over the concept of, you know, thinking that it wouldn't work. It won't work if I just continue to tell myself that it won't work. But I always would shift my mindset and say that, I'm going to do everything I can to make this work. And I'm going to believe in myself enough to know that I have the ability to make it happen. So this again can go in multiple different ways. It does not necessarily have to be related to fitness, but it does play a big role in fitness. So again, the external praise is temporary, but the self-trust you create is going to create more long-term discipline. So you don't need permission to improve your life. You don't need to seek a validation from somebody else to try to make a change in your life. You need to focus on what you want to accomplish. If this is something that you want to accomplish, set out to do it. So again, your goals are valid because they matter to you. If they matter to you, you don't need them because you don't need others' approval because of that, because that is your specific goal. Learn to trust your effort, even on imperfect days. So it is still a win if you're continuing to show up, even if, again, the progress may not feel like it's there for that day when you go to the gym, as far as also, sticking to your nutrition, that is still progress in itself that you're showing up. So again, progress isn't perfect. It's about staying committed, showing up no matter how you feel. And a lot of times people rely solely on motivation, but motivation does not take you far. It's about how disciplined you can be and how consistent you can be showing up. So the next point is detaching your worth from your performance. So keep in mind that your value is not defined by how much you lift. So how you look or how perfect you are, in your workouts is not going to, of course, determine your worth. So even when your performance fluctuates, what matters again is that you're staying consistent. So some so for performance changes, your worth doesn't. So keep that in mind. So some days you're strong, some days you're not. That's normal, not a reflection of your value. So bad workouts are feedback and not failure. So again, even when you have bad workouts, that's still you know, a necessary indicator of progression in your routine. So every off day is information your body is giving you. It's not judgment of who you are. So again, when you're having those off days, and I've mentioned this before because I have them many times. I think it was last week. It was a few days ago or last week where I'd had a day where I went to work out and it just wasn't, I just wasn't there. I was ready to get out of there. And I have those days, here and there where even if, this is something that I do day to day, even if I do it day to day, I still have, those times where I just don't want to do it. But I still know that whenever I take the chance to do it, it is going to benefit me more than it's going to hurt me. So again, you are not your PRs, your personal records, in other words, your weight or your physique. So no matter where you're at, those points don't have to define you. So those are outcomes, not your identity. So again, detaching creates intensity. So detach, how you feel your worth is from how you're performing. So when your self-worth isn't tied to results, you're more likely to keep showing up. Growth is what happens when pressure is removed. And again, training becomes more effective when it's driven by a clear intention and not criticism on yourself. So again, make sure that you don't focus solely on how your progress is. Your progress may fluctuate. Like I mentioned, at the beginning of this stream, when we go throughout a routine, our progress is going to be up and down sometimes. And sometimes may have those moments where, it sort of delays us, like maybe we have an injury or maybe, something comes up and it sort of delays our progress in some way. But that doesn't mean that you're not, you know, getting to where you want to be. It may slow you down slightly, but that doesn't mean that it's going to affect you. You have to detach how you're doing and make sure, as always, that you're focusing on showing up more than trying to rely solely on all of those little markers. It's important to, of course, make progress and, improve your performance, but keep in mind that progress is never linear. It's never going to happen, in a linear fashion. You're going to have ups and downs as you go throughout a routine. So just remember to detach those 2 points. So we're writing negative fitness narratives. So the story you tell yourself, again, this goes back to your mindset and how you approach, how you see yourself in your routine and, throughout your journey shapes your actions. So rewrite the narrative and change your results. So identify the old narrative that you have about yourself. And again, this comes from talking to yourself negatively in a lot of ways. So quit telling yourself that I'm not consistent, that I always quit, that I'm not built for this. Recognize these patterns. And this is something that I had to, again, really identify myself. Now, I apologize to you guys with the bullet points on here while they're so close apart. I meant to try to space them out, but I wanted to make sure that I had all the points on screen. But again, I'll say all of these points so that you don't have to rely solely on what's here on screen. But what you need to think about is that you have to identify these points when you're telling yourself something negative. You have to sort of see when those patterns come up. This is something that I did a lot too, that I noticed whenever, this was probably about 2 or 3 years ago, whenever I was really getting started with my routine, is I would constantly sabotage myself many times where I would tell myself this isn't working or that I'm not capable of doing this. And I would notice when that would happen, and I would really try to shift how I saw myself past that. And I would tell myself, if I can just keep going, I will see, those results happen. And again, results felt like they happened really slow for me. And that's like what I mentioned in the live stream yesterday. Results for everybody is going to happen in different ways. So just because it is slower for you does not mean it's going to happen. It was felt like it was really slow for me to try to see, significant changes or changes that I felt like I noticed, enough. So just know that when you have those thoughts and that sort of mindset that tries to creep in, learn to challenge that. Ask yourself, is this always true? Is is it true that, all of these moments are happening? So prove otherwise and shift your language to when you tell yourself I can't, to turn it to I'm learning, from I failed to I'm adjusting. Focus on actions and not labels. Focus on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish rather than just constantly, shifting everything. So you're not lazy, you're becoming someone who's building better habits one step at a time. So build proof through your consistency. So it's all about small wins repeated daily that's going to create a new identity. The more you change these perspectives, the more you're going to see a change in your overall, you know, perception of how you approach your routine. And again, this is not only a fitness thing. I mean, this can also be applied in multiple ways. If there's something that you really want to accomplish, you have to change how you approach it. A lot of things that we really want to happen never happen instantly, especially something like it's big, like if we're wanting to gain muscle, if we're wanting to lose fat, if we're wanting to build better habits. These things don't come instantly. They are something that you have to build. And a lot of times we do get really hung up on things whenever they don't happen as quickly as we want them. And I've been that same person where I've wanted the results to happen quickly when they don't happen quickly. So that's something, again, you have to shift your mindset to focus on what you are doing rather than seeing it as a negative and sort of seeing that you're not making progress. So consistency and self-support, not punishment. So as always, you need to focus on consistency. So showing up in your fitness journey isn't about forcing yourself through misery. It's about taking care of yourself even on the days you don't feel the best. Now again, back to the same, approach. This is kind of shifting your mindset here. You need to see your fitness journey as more of a way that's going to help you overall, in your life. It is a form of self-improvement. So consistency, again, is an act of self-respect and not restriction. So see that again. One thing I like to do is I like to see, and I've sort of discussed this before, but I like to see the gym as a place to where I can be to myself. I can do my own thing and I don't have to worry so much about everything else that's going on. It's just a place where I can just be to myself. And that's how you kind of need to see it. So again, showing up consistently is going to be an act of respect. So you're not making up for anything, you're investing in your well-being. So again, workouts are not punishment for what you ate. Again, this goes to the same concept of shifting how we approach how we're seeing our progress. Training is for strength, energy, and growth, not guilt. Adjust and don't abandon. Low energy day, modify the workout, and don't skip the habit entirely. Discipline can feel supportive, not harsh. Structure is going to create that stability, not stress when done with intention. And again, self-support is going to build long-term consistency. And then when fitness feels like care, again, like what I was just saying just a second ago, when you change to how you see it, how you see taking care of yourself, the more you are going to stick with it. And again, this is how you build healthier habits when you see these things not as a punishment, but as more of a reward as much as possible. And that's really going to help you as you move forward. And I hope this is helping you guys in some way. I hope that this is changing how you see these things because I think this is the hardest part that a lot of people can have when it comes to, again, building something, building, healthier habits in a lot of ways. So again, I really hope that these points are helping. So the last major point that I want to mention here before I close out today in our stream is building emotional safety through routine. So your routine isn't just about your structure. Again, it's about creating a safe, predictable space where your body and mind can perform, recover, and grow all at the same time. So when you have consistency, another thing that this does is that this reduces that mental stress. And this is something that I mentioned to clients many times is that when you build habits, whether that be, structuring your workout routine, structuring your nutrition, or, having a proper sleep schedule, being mindful recovery, how you build these things is going to happen when you reduce the amount of mental stress and the amount of decisions that you have to make. The more you can eliminate decisions that need to be made, the more it's going to allow you to stick to it more. So you're not relying on your emotions to get through these things. You're making them predictable and automatic. So when your routine is predictable, your brain doesn't have to constantly decide and it can focus on execution. So the more that you can eliminate decisions, the more it makes it seamless. So routine is going to build trust within yourself. Every time you follow through, you're going to reinforce that I can rely on me. Familiar patterns is going to create confidence. With me, my routine is basically, again, it's all about, staying consistent. It's all about sticking to, you know, just showing up at the same time every day, sleeping at the same time. So just, again, build that sort of momentum, that consistency, and that discipline, and show up regardless of how you feel. Focus on relying on yourself. And again, keep those patterns familiar. So repeating movement, meals, and habits is going to build comfort and control over time. So less chaos again is going to lead to better performance overall. And when your environment feels stable, your workouts are going to become more effective. So if you're trying to, work out at this point or at this time of day, this time of day, this time of day, and not creating a general sort of focus, then that's going to again hinder your overall progress. So focus on creating an environment that's going to make your routine to be able to be stable and to be consistent. So a routine supports both physical and emotional recovery all at the same time. And again, it gives your body rhythm and your mind a sense of control. So the more that you can build a rhythm with your routine, the more it's going to again be seamless, and that's how you make these habits work, is how you can integrate them easily within your daily life without having to have all of these sort of decision making points. So think about that as well. Alrighty, guys. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Again, you can scan this QR code here on screen if you are on a separate screen. And this will take you to my top forum if you're interested in learning about online fitness coaching. One thing I do want to share with you guys as well is that every Tuesday I have a TikTok live stream that I do. Every Wednesday I do a Facebook live stream, and then every Thursday here on YouTube I do a live stream as well. So I've been doing 3 live streams a week here lately. And so if you want to check out any of these, again, feel free to follow my other, sort of platforms. So Facebook, of course, you can check out some of the, fitness and nutrition advice I share. On TikTok, I try to focus on more beginner-based topics. And then on here on YouTube, I try to go a little bit deeper and talk more about mindset and sort of a sense of belonging when it comes to fitness. So I try to keep these platforms and what I speak about a little bit unique so that it's not repetitive and that it doesn't get boring with what I talk about. So definitely, again, take the time to check out any of the streams I do. All of my social platforms, you should be able to find them, here on YouTube because I have a Facebook, X, Instagram, and all those platforms you should be able to find. So definitely check those out. Again, guys, you can check out my website, which is bponlinefitness.com. You just put in, again, type that in the search bar. It'll take you straight to my website. There's a ton of information on there for online fitness coaching, learning more about what I have to offer. If that's something that you're interested in, feel free to check that out. I do have free information on there as well. I have an email list you can sign up to, fitness blog that I upload to each and every week. So take the time to check that out if that's something that you would like to get more information about. Again, guys, thank you for your time with these streams. I try to put in as much effort as I can. So it's very important to, again, for me to really show what I have to offer. And I really want to help you guys in a lot of ways. So thank you guys once again for your time. Again, reach out if you have any questions. But with all that said, guys, I will see you guys next Thursday here on YouTube in our next live stream. So thank you guys again for watching.